Well, we knew for years. We knew for years, friends, that Rotten Tomatoes was compromised. Many of you might remember during the release of Captain Marvel and during the Last Jedi, I think it was, Star Wars movie, Rotten Tomatoes was accused of manipulating review scores and outright did manipulate them for Captain Marvel, removing user reviews. They changed the complete system and then told us that the only people that would be able to leave a review would have to show proof of actually having seen the movie. And I said at the time, I actually like that. I support that. I support that as a review. I'd like to know that you're a verified customer. I think that that's good, right? But we've known for years that their review scores are, I mean, it's just so coincidental that every Disney movie has the same review scores and none of them's getting anything, anything about that. It's just, don't worry about it being, we got it fixed now. Only the real people are leaving reviews. And then you notice that the woker the movie was, you weren't seeing a lot of these 6, 7, 8%ers. Well, it turns out that Rotten Tomatoes has been being manipulated by a PR firm for over 5 years by paying critics directly. And we're going to get into that after a super quick word from this video's sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Galaxy Lamps. Are you looking for a cool way to add some magic to your home? Well, look no further than the Galaxy Projector 2.0. This lamp projects vibrant RGB colors and laser stars, transforming any room into a magical planetarium. You can control the projector via the app, which gives you full control over the brightness, colors, rotation, speed, on-off scheduling, and much more. So bring some magic into your home with the Galaxy Projector 2.0. The new Galaxy Projector 2.0 is the latest and greatest way to bring the beauty of the Galaxy into your home. The stunning projection system creates a realistic planetarium right in your own home with vibrant colors and beautiful stars that you can control via the app. You can enjoy the night sky anytime, anywhere. Another cool feature is it can be set up to work with both Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. It can be used on its own without integrating to the app with its 6 different color pattern settings, 3-stand system that allows you to put it up against the wall and ceilings. And right now, if you use promo code THEQUARTERING, you'll save 15% off. Make sure you use the link in the description below or the pinned comment and promo code THEQUARTERING to pick up your Galaxy lamp today. A PR firm has been manipulating Rotten Tomatoes movie scores for over 5 years by paying critics directly. In 2018, a movie publicity company called Bunker 15 took on a new project, Ophelia, a feminist retelling of Hamlet, starring Daisy Ridley. Critics who had seen early screenings had published 13 reviews, 7 of them negative, which translated to a review score of 46% on all the important aggregation site Rotten Tomatoes. A disappointing outcome for a film with the prestige aspirations and a domestic distributor. But just because the tomato meter says title is rotten, scoring below 60%, it doesn't need to stay that way. Bunker 15 went to work. While most film PR companies aim to get the attention of critics from top publications, Bunker 15 takes a more bottom-up approach, recruiting obscure, often self-published critics who are nevertheless part of the pool tracked by Rotten Tomatoes. And another break from the standard practice, several critics say Bunker 15 paid them $50 or more for each review. These payments were not typically disclosed, and Rotten Tomatoes says it prohibits reviewing based on financial incentive, but we now know they did. And of course, they would take woke critics they knew they could get a positive review from, to leave reviews. In October of that year, an employee of the company emailed a prospective reviewer of Ophelia, its Sundance film, and the feeling is that it's been treated a bit harshly by some of the critics. I'm sure sky-high expectations were the culprit, so the team involved felt like it would benefit them to get more input from different critics. Quote, more input from different critics is not very subtle code, and the prospective critic wrote back to ask what would happen if he hated the film. Bunker 15 employee replied that, of course, journalists are free to write whatever they like, but that super nice ones, and there are more critics like this than I expected, often agreed not to publish bad reviews on their usual websites, but instead quarantine them on a smaller blog that Rotten Tomatoes never sees. Wow. I think it's a very cool thing to do if done right. The trick would help ensure Rotten Tomatoes logged positive reviews, but not the negative ones. Between October 2018 and January 2019, Rotten Tomatoes added 8 reviews to Ophelia's score. 7 were favorable. The most came from critics who have reviewed at least one other Bunker 15 movie. The writer of negative reviews says that Bunker 15 lobbied them to change it. If the critic wanted to give it a barely overall positive, then I know the editors at Rotten Tomatoes and I can get that switched, a Bunker 15 employee wrote. I also discovered another negative review of Ophelia film from this time was not counted by Rotten Tomatoes, by a writer whose positive reviews of other Bunker 15 films had been recorded by the aggregator. So inside of Rotten Tomatoes, they were working with this PR firm to artificially inflate review scores. This is a huge scandal. Bunker 15 films have been recorded by the hour. Ophelia climbed Tomato Reader to 62%, flipping from rotten to fresh. The next month, the distributor IFC Films announced that it had acquired Ophelia for release in the United States. Ophelia's production company, Covert Media, did not return requests for comment. Bunker 15's founder, Daniel Harlow, said, "Wow, you really are reaching there," and disagrees with the suggestion that his company buys reviews to skew Rotten Tomatoes. "We have thousands of writers in our distribution list, a small handful set up for a specific where filmmakers can sponsor or pay to have them review the film." The Ophelia affair is a useful microcosm of understanding how Rotten Tomatoes, which turned 25 in August, has come to function. The site was conceived in the early days of the web as a hot or not for movies. Now it can make or break them, which implications for how films are perceived, released, marketed, and possibly even greenlit. The tomato meter may be the most important metric in entertainment, yet it's also erratic, reductive, and easily hacked. The studios didn't invent Rotten Tomatoes, and most of them don't like it, say filmmaker Paul Schrader. But the system is broken, audiences are dumber, normal people can't go through reviews like they used to. Rotten Tomatoes is something studios can game, so they do. In a recent interview, Quentin Tarantino, whose next film was reportedly called The Movie Critic, admitted that he no longer reads critics' work. "Today, I don't know anyone," he said, in a translation of his remarks that first published to French. "I'm told Manola Dargis, she's excellent, but when I ask what are 3 movies she loved and hated in the last few years, no one can answer me because they don't care." This is probably because of Rotten Tomatoes, with the helps of Yelp, Goodreads, and countless other review aggregators, have desensitized us to the opinions of individual critics. Once upon a time, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert turned the no-budget documentary Hoop Dreams into a phenomenon using only their thumbs. But critical power like that has been replaced by collective voice for the masses. A third of U.S. adults say they check Rotten Tomatoes before going to the movies. Despite Rotten Tomatoes' reputed importance, it's worth a reminder its math stinks. Scores are calculated by classifying each review as either positive or negative and then dividing a number of positives by the total. That's the whole formula. Every review carries the exact same weight, whether it runs in a major newspaper or a Substack with a dozen subscribers. If a review straddles positive and negative, too bad. I read some positive reviews of my own film where the writer might say he doesn't think that I pull something off, but boy, is it interesting the way I don't pull it off, says Schrader, a former critic. To me, that's a good review, but it will count as a negative review on Rotten Tomatoes. There's no accounting for enthusiasm, no attempt to distinguish between extremely and slightly positive or negative reviews. That means a film can score a perfect 100 with just passing grades. In the old days, if an independent film got 3 stars, it was like the kiss of death, says publicist number 2. But Rotten Tomatoes, if you get all 3-star reviews, it's fantastic. Another problem, that's where the trickery often begins. It's that Rotten Tomatoes scores are often posted after movie reviews only a handful of reviews, sometimes as few as 5. Even if those reviews may be an unrepresentative sample, this is sort of cable news network declaring on election night winning after a single county reports its results. But studios see that as a feature since it's with a little elbow grease, they can sometimes fool people into believing a movie is better than it was. Here's how. When a studio is prepping for the release of a new title, it will screen the film for critics in advance. It's a film publicist's job to organize those screenings and invite writers they think will respond most positively. Then that publicist will set the movie's review embargo, in part so that the initial tomato score is as high as possible when the moment it can have maximal benefits for word of mouth and early ticket sales. All of this would be one thing if Rotten Tomatoes were merely as an innocent relic from Web 1.0 being preyed upon by Hollywood sharks. The site's come a long way from its founding in 1998 by Berkeley grads, one of whom wanted to place a catalog reviews of Jackie Chan movies. You know, this is a huge website now with Fandango and, all this, a huge media machine. We know, after I asked Rotten Tomatoes about Bunker 15, it delisted a number of the company's movies from its website and sent a warning to writers who reviewed them. In a statement, Rotten Tomatoes wrote, "We take the integrity of our scores seriously and will not tolerate any attempts to manipulate them. We have a dedicated team who monitors our platforms regularly and thoroughly investigates and resolves suspicious activity, and yet manipulation still happens." The question might be, is if it's making a difference where it counts. Well, of course it does. It's wild to me that, finally mainstream media is reporting on how Rotten Tomatoes is complete trash. It's just an advertising tool for movies. And there are very few places to actually get a good, solid movie review these days. But I'm happy to see them get revealed and exposed. And hopefully they lose some of their credibility over this because it's an absolute joke.